Well, the rain did not leave with the heat. We've still got showers around tonight. And how much more of the week can we expect this? Devin?
All right, Ben, also first at 4, anger at the White House. President Trump keeps fighting and attacking as there are new developments in the impeachment investigation. Michigan's new vaping ban is now in effect. We have the first response from some local police departments on how it's going. Paula.
147 budget line item vetoes. Today, we talked to just some of the people who today say they are in shock and in fear of what happens next. These stories and more are happening right now on Local 4, First at 4.
Live from downtown Detroit, home of WDIV and Click on Detroit, Local 4 News First at 4 starts now.
Good afternoon. I'm Devin Skillian in for Karen Drew this afternoon. First at 4, it's one of those days where you really feel like you can feel the weather changing every time you step outside. We're tracking scattered rain and falling temperatures as promised at the same time. Let's start things off here at 4 with Ben.
Yeah, Devin, a wet commute's bad enough when it's 80, but when it's starting to become 50s outside, folks are noticing this pretty quickly. Here's 4 Live radar. The rain is not heavy, but it is out there, and it's going to be widespread, at least for the rest of the evening hours tonight. We may get a little bit of a break as we go into the overnight, but it's probably going to come back as we get into early parts of tomorrow as well. The only advisories and warnings we have right now are for a lakeshore flood advisory, Sanilac, St. Clair County. This is the wind coming off the lake, not the rain, as most of that rain right now is going south of 69, which is sort of the opposite of where it's been for the last 24 to 36 hours. We can expect rain through the evening. Temperatures, if they're still in the 60s where you are right now, they won't be for long. 50s for just about everybody tonight, and we'll look at how much longer this cool air is going to stay in place coming up. Devin?
All right, Ben. Michigan's flavored vape ban is now in effect. It does mean a lot of changes for vape users, but plenty of businesses around the state, too. All flavored vape products now have to be off the shelves. Businesses, and that includes online retailers, can no longer advertise those products either. If you break the law, you could be charged, sent to jail, fined, or both. The local police departments try to take action, and the ban does have support right now in Clinton Township.
They're targeted every single day at the high school. Bubblegum flavored vape, cherry flavored vape. Who do we think this is made for? It's made for teenagers.
When my daughters tell me that they see this in the bathrooms, they see it even in class, on the buses. So I can't tell you how happy I am that the governor did this.
All went into effect last night at midnight. There is still a legal challenge looming, though. A hearing about an injunction on that is going to continue in Petoskey, and that'll happen next week. New at 5, we'll take a ride with local police as they check on local businesses during this first full day of the ban. On Detroit's west side, a man is killed overnight after what police say was a shootout. The man who died has not yet been publicly identified by police. He was found shot to death in a car on Burwood near 7 Mile in Wyoming. We're told several cars were left damaged from the gunfire, but right now, not much to go on in the case. No known suspects. Been pretty quiet so far on this 17th day of the UAW strike against General Motors. Just 24 hours ago, we heard of a proposal and counter-proposal between the two sides. We have not heard General Motors' response to that counter-proposal from the union. We do know that pay, health care, and the future of temporary workers remain. They were the sticky key points at the start of this. They remain so today. New at 5, business editor Rob Maloney will dig into why it could be a while before we see a deal. Name-calling, threats, counter-threats, the growing battle for public opinion as Congress moves forward with an impeachment investigation surrounding President Trump intensified again today. Congress applying pressure. We have a big admission from Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. Let's bring in Kimberly Gill, who's in the newsroom, to highlight today's developments, and it's been a dramatic day, Kim.
That it has, Devin. Good afternoon to you. The president has been talking and tweeting about the investigation all day, calling key Democrats names and denying any wrongdoing. But the impeachment inquiry is still moving full speed ahead. So let's start with Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. Today in Rome, he confirmed he was on the phone call with Ukraine's president that pushed House Democrats to start impeachment proceedings. Pompeo said the call was inconsistent with American policy toward Ukraine. Pompeo is resisting efforts to get current and former State Department officials to testify. Democrats are warning Pompeo that could be seen as obstruction of justice since he was a part of that phone call. The president continues his attacks on whistleblower and others connected to that report. Democrats accuse the president of inciting violence.
The president wants to make this all about the whistleblower and suggest people that come forward with evidence of his wrongdoing are somehow treasonous and should be treated as traitors and spies. This is a blatant effort to intimidate witnesses.
He wrote a vicious conversation. In other words, he either got it totally wrong, made it up, or the person giving the information to the whistleblower was dishonest. And this country has to find out who that person was, because that person's a spy, in my opinion.
And the president just wrapped up another news conference where he refused to say if he will cooperate with new subpoenas coming from Congress. He did not answer a question about what he really wanted from Ukraine's president when he brought up the Bidens during that phone call. We're going to sort through some more of today's developments, Devin, and tonight we will have more coming up at 5, and we'll see you then.
Boy, it has been tense. All right, KG, we'll see you at 5. Presidential candidate Bernie Sanders is recovering after having a heart procedure. His campaign says he was feeling chest discomfort yesterday, and doctors found a blocked artery. So the 78-year-old senator had 2 stents put in. We're told he is in good spirits now, but he is going to take time off from campaign events and appearances, and that is until, as the campaign put it, further notice. First at 4, we're also tracking some other big stories from across America. A sentencing hearing continues for the former Dallas police officer convicted of murder yesterday. The family of the victim, Botham Jean, started discussing their loss yesterday, what it's meant to them. Today, the jury heard from Amber Geiger's mother, who spoke about the former officer's struggles in her childhood and her regret over that fatal shooting. But the jury will end up deciding Geiger's fate. She faces 5 to 99 years in prison. That is a really wide span. And just as soon as there's a decision, we will bring it to you. In Kentucky, a massive barge crashes into a yacht club, sending a restaurant and several boats right down the Ohio River. This happened early this morning near Cincinnati. Rescue workers say some of those boats sank to the bottom of the river, but amazingly and very fortunately, no one was hurt. Governor Whitmer is hoping her long list of line item vetoes will lead to new negotiations on fixing a state budget that she really didn't care for. Well, today we're getting a closer look at the people and programs that have been caught up in the middle. For example, she cut $35 million in allowance increases for charter schools, $150,000 for college students who are pregnant and parenting, and the governor vetoed $1.47 million earmarked for autism programs. Paula Tutman picks up that part of the story and what comes next.
Here at the Judson Center, this is an early intervention class. So what's happening here is these kids are getting face-to-face contact.
Look, it's an elephant.
In fact, had it not been for the Autism Alliance of Michigan, Amina McClendon may not have ever found her way to the Judson Center. Her son was aging out of one program. She made too much money for another resource, not enough for others, and had no idea where to turn for nearly a month. And Jeremiah suffered.
He regressed. So he back to those aggressive behaviors, hitting, biting, throwing things, breaking things.
But through the navigation of the Alliance, she, like 6,500 other families across the state of Michigan, have helped connecting critical dots to find services and resources.
Navigators is why we were created, is families looking for what they need, dealing with a difficult diagnosis.
Good job.
But today, the Alliance, like many other social, nonprofit, and service organizations, are caught in the red zone by what they believe amounts to political football, as Governor Whitmer cut nearly $1 billion in 147 line item vetoes to stave off a government shutdown.
It's a lot of money that was vetoed out, and now it's time to get back to the table and negotiate.
For the Autism Alliance of Michigan, that one red line is more than a third of its yearly budget, which, by the way, is due at the end of the month.
It's dangerous. I'd like to think that individuals with autism and their families are not a negotiating chip.
I think it's ridiculous. I mean, there's no way these kids can meet their milestones or progress any way in life without services.
There is a chance the money can be reallocated from another pot. That happens when lawmakers meet Thursday behind closed doors to negotiate supplements. The governor's office says it is critical that all sides meet with a willingness to play for the people and not party lines.
You know, the Department of Corrections budget, the Department of Technology Management budget, the DHHS, Health and Human Services budget, have some cuts that are really unlivable and create problems for public safety and health. And so the governor needs to get those fixed, and she's certainly willing to talk about what the Republicans would like to see fixed as well.
Okay, so that meeting tomorrow really is key, and there has been some chatter that Republican leadership really isn't interested in supplementing the budget. The governor's office told me today that they feel like there is a shift and that Republicans are willing to come to the table. But I do need to say that I've been playing telephone tag with Majority Leader Shirkey's office all afternoon. As soon as I get a statement from them, then we'll put it on our social media platforms so you understand where they're coming from. Devin?
You bet. Really high-stakes strategy here by the governor. We'll see how this plays out. All right, Paula. Still ahead, a data breach affecting millions of people who play Words with Friends. That would be me. Is that you? We'll see what we need to know coming up in Trending Stories. Also, much of the country is being smothered by high temperatures. We're going to talk about records broken. Ben is tracking falling temperatures here, though. But first, here's Dr. Franklin George. Doc?
Hey, Devin. In good health, we have the story of one woman trying to reclaim her life after breast cancer. Why she went through 11 and a half hours of surgery and 6 weeks of recovery, what she wanted to regain, and how doctors did it. Her story next.
Do veterinarians have a major problem? These vets say many of their colleagues are